This is Madeira. She is a French Angora rabbit, and as you can see, she is a black rabbit, and the French Angora rabbit is distinguished by having fur on its ears, face, and feet, as opposed to the Germans, Giants, and English Angora rabbits, which have wool on their ears, face, and feet, giving them a more fluffy appearance. The French Angora rabbit has a commercial body type and is about 7.5 to 9 pounds when they're adults, and they can be bred to be either combed or clipped. I breed my lines to be combed, and when she is ready and letting go of her coat, it'll be very obvious because there'll be wool coming off in the cage, and at that point in time it's ready to be removed by just combing it with a wide tooth comb or gently with your fingers. This is Bristol, and Bristol is a English Angora rabbit. The English Angora rabbit is distinct from the French that I showed previously because the English has furnishings or wool or fluff on their ears, face, and feet. And they also have a rounder body type, and they are smaller compared to the German Angora or the French Angora. And they typically are about 5 to 7 pounds when they're grown up. They are bred to be either clipped or combed. And my particular lines are bred to be clipped, and Angora rabbits, if they are typically clipped about every 90 days, so they're sheared roughly 4 times a year, and different breeds produce varying amounts of fiber. The English probably produces a bit more than the French on average, and again, their wool is removed by clipping it off with scissors or electric clippers. And the English Angora wool is also very distinctive from the French in that it is softer and has a higher proportion of wool to guard hair. And that basically means they have a softer coat, which in a hot, humid climate like North Carolina means they're a little bit more prone to matting. And here's a face view of her. She's a little camera shy. This is a German Angora rabbit. Her name is Leafy Lace. And the German Angora rabbit is bred to be a commercial fiber-producing rabbit. And these guys will grow a lot more fiber than any of the other breeds. You can get as much as 1 pound of fiber off them at each shearing, and they have to be shorn because they don't molt naturally the way French or English sometimes can. And this particular doe is one of my favorites, and you can see she's just ready to be clipped. And the Germans are kind of unique in the number of types of fiber they have. It's all very soft and lovely. But the German was bred to be a commercial fiber production rabbit. So they, in addition to a higher amount of fiber, they have a coat that is very easy care and non-matting, and you don't brush them daily or anything like that. Basically, you just check their coat to make sure that they're not matting anywhere about every month or so when you're between shearings. And the other thing you can notice about her is that she's got, like the English, she has furnishings on her ears, face, and feet, but the amount is typically less than an English, and it can be variable among these rabbits. This is a litter of French Angora rabbits, and the neat thing about this litter is that they have they're representative of all the different colors, or many different colors that both can occur in both the English and the French Angora rabbits. This happens to be a French litter, And these guys are about 6 months old, or excuse me, 6 weeks old. And so they're almost ready to be weaned in another couple of weeks or so, but we'll probably keep them together a bit longer since there are so many of them. And just give them time to adjust to being separated from their mother. They'll stay together initially, and then eventually be separated on a basis of gender. And you can see, as is typical with the French Angora rabbit, these guys have fur on their ears, face, and feet rather than wool. And there's another breed of Angora rabbit, the satin Angora, that looks very similar to the French in that they have a very clean face, and the big difference is that their coat they have a very shiny coat, and it's very, very stunning. I just don't happen to raise this breed of rabbit, but they're very beautiful, and they share many of the characteristics of the French, which is the overall low fur on the ears, face, and feet, and the commercial body type. And the wool production is roughly the same. And again, these guys can be bred to be clipped or combed, but mine are bred to be mainly to be combed, which means the French Angoras let go of their wool on their own individual cycle, which is about every 10 to 14 weeks. And at that point in time, I can remove the wool very gently with my fingers or a comb. And again, this is very much like when a dog is undergoing a natural shedding cycle. So it doesn't hurt the rabbit to be combed at all. This is Essen. She is another German Angora rabbit, and she looks very similar to another breed of Angora, which is called the giant Angora. The distinction between the giant and the German Angora is that the German Angora has a different association whose standards are based on, for registration, are based on physical inspection and recording of the amount and quality of the fiber, with certain minimums being expected. I mention the giant Angora because they're another American Rabbit Breeders Association recognized breed that looks quite similar to the German. And again, the giant Angora rabbits tend to have to be fairly large, in excess of 10 pounds at maturity. Hello, I'm Elena Kenyon, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the different breeds of Angora rabbit and Angora fiber today. I thought I'd start out by talking about the fiber a little bit, using German Angora fiber as an example. On the left-hand side, you can see a long white fibers. These are about 3 to 3.5 inches long, and this is prime, or firsts. And that is the fiber, that is the highest grade of Angora fiber. That is used generally for spinning and for blending with yarns that are going to have Angora in them. On the right-hand side, you'll see seconds. And these are also German Angora rabbit fiber. And you'll see that there's not, if it looks like there's not a lot of difference between the two, that's because there really isn't. The big difference is the length. Both prime and seconds should be clean, free of mats and webbing, and the difference is that seconds are a bit shorter. They're generally under 2¼ inches in length, whereas prime is over 2¼ to 2.5 inches in length, very often closer to about 3 to 4 inches in length. And this is German Angora rabbit fiber. It is the Angora that was really developed in Germany and imported into the United States in the 80s. And this is really bred to be a commercial fiber producing rabbit. And Angora fiber the German Angora fiber has multiple fiber types, but unless you look closely, you won't really be able to see the difference. In the case of English Angora and any other variety of Angora that is clipped from the rabbit, the grades are pretty much the same. You may also occasionally hear references to thirds. Thirds are the fibers that are basically contain, are very short, contain like less than an inch, contain, may have mats and other things, and generally those are discarded. In the case of English Angora fiber, the ratio of wool to guard hair is different, with there being more wool, which is why the English Angora is a little more prone to matting and requires a bit more specialized coat care, particularly in the southeast where it's hot. And then French Angora is distinctive in that there is a higher ratio of guard hair to wool, and it tends to produce a spikier fiber that is still very, very soft. And both English, French, and satin Angora fiber can all be combed from the rabbit or clipped, and what is appropriate depends on the way the rabbit has been bred.